This month, we finished our wonderful abundance project, and we've also been focusing on the power of prayer. And I had this idea based on something I want to tell you. Some of you know that the ministry that I've been called to in my seminary experience, and that I've said yes to, is in social justice in that field. And I also want you to know that I'm beginning to see the light at the end of a long tunnel of seminary. That in May of next year, I will finish my 900 required course hours. And in July, I will start my internship in social justice and Unity Worldwide Missions head of a new office of emerging and alternative ministries was so excited when I told her that she volunteered to be my mentor. So I am really thrilled. And I also feel such a debt of gratitude to this community. If you hadn't been here, I wouldn't be on this path. Mm-hmm. And I just can't tell you how grateful I am. The other thing that I want to tell you is in the course of being in a Unity seminary, there are 6 required Bible courses. I'm finishing up my 5th one right now. And I was kind of irritated about this when I first did that, or saw that. And I have come to love Unity's transformation of some of the Bible stuff that I grew up with that was kind of wounding. And there's some movement, UWM and the leader has suggested that we, among all the other things that we do, also remind ourselves of some of Unity's foundations. Because if we don't remember where we come from, or as we remember where we come from, then we're more guided about where we go. And we've got all kinds of diversity here. The Native American medicine wheel, our labyrinth, our Kuan Yin statue. We embrace that diversity. And because I happen to be going to a Unity seminary, I feel called to also bring some of Unity's foundational material. So I thought about, with our focus on prayer, I thought about social justice really is praying with our feet, is doing something. So what I hope that you will take away today from this is 3 things. I hope I can share some passion with you. I hope that you'll start feeling some of the passion that I feel about this. Second, I hope you'll walk away with one action step. One way you're going to pray with your feet going out of here today. And third, I hope you'll join with me in seeing a vision of a more just world. Those are what I want you to take away today. So what does praying with our feet mean? Well, Unity's 4th principle is that we get guidance and inspiration from the divine, thank you, through prayer and meditation. And then our 5th principle is we take action. In James 2:14, he writes, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but do not have works? Can faith save you? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead." What does justice mean? The dictionary definition is that it's an ethical or philosophical idea that people are treated equitably and fairly. That's pretty cool, huh? In Unity, we interpret this metaphysically, and it means justice means to stand in righteousness before the Lord. Now, I used to really hate that word, the Lord. I thought it meant, what is that? We're to the manor, he's to the manor board, or she, and we're like humble servants. I didn't like that. Until I found out Unity's definition of the Lord, which is that divine guiding principle inside us that we want to be leading and that we want all the other parts of us, my ego, those resistant parts, my lazy parts, all the rest. I want all those parts to walk humbly with that part of me in charge. That's what justice means, to walk, to stand in righteousness before God, or the Lord, the leader in our heart. What does that mean? That means if that at the end of the day, we remember this little spat or something we had with somebody else, and we go, God, was that all right? And God goes, you need to go fix that. Or we say something that's not right or something, and God says, man, you need to go back and do something. Or God says, that a girl, good work. So to stand in righteousness before that divine leader in us. It also is related to a word that I love, which is ethos. It's the Greek root of the word ethics. I was chair for a number of years of the ethics committee in the American Academy of Psychotherapists, and we based all of our ethical decisions on a philosophy that's called situation ethics. Now, what does that mean? It was the first person who wrote significantly about this was a man named Joseph Fletcher. And he said that situations will vary, and on that, not the strict laws, do we need to make our decisions. Like people the Pharisees criticized Jesus for healing somebody on Sunday because Jesus wasn't respecting the law. Well, Jesus was respecting the situation. Or if you ask, is it wrong to steal? People will go, well, of course it is. Well, let's look at the situation. Was it a hungry mother or a mother whose children were hungry and she knew no other way to get them some bread but to steal a loaf? Situation ethics. I think one of the ones that touches me the most was the German Lutheran minister Bonhoeffer. And he went back to Germany during World War II and joined with a group of, it was toward the end, at least well into the second half of World War II, he joined with a group of Hitler's resigning military leaders in a plot to assassinate Hitler. Is it wrong to kill? Bonhoeffer decided that the situation called for that. So did the Buddhist monks who had taken a vow to hurt nobody when they had to decide to smuggle the Dalai Lama out of Tibet. They had to change their vow in response to the situation. That's situation ethics. Let's look at our criminal justice system. It began in 454 BC based on the law of Hammurabi, which was an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It was over 2,000 years old. And what that means is that the person who's done harm must hurt as bad as the person that has been harmed. That's what that law says. And that's how our criminal justice system works. You kill somebody, we're going to kill you. Jesus came and said, I came to teach you a new way. I came to teach you about love. Well, we haven't caught up with Jesus yet. Because let's look at our criminal justice system. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world. The U.S. does. People of color make up 28% of our population and 56% of the incarceration rate. The white people, Caucasian people, make up 64% of the population and 30% of the incarceration rate. Something ain't right. So I want to share with you about a woman named Sylvia Clute. It turned out that right after I felt the call to this area of ministry and broke down weeping when I told our future ministers team, so I knew it was really right, the next course that was offered the next term in seminary was called Unitive Justice, Unitive Leadership. And it was taught by a unity minister who is a sidekick of this woman named Sylvia Clute. So I got introduced to all this. Sylvia was a trial lawyer for 30 years. And one day she said, this criminal justice system is not working. So she went out and started this international alliance for unitive justice. Alliance for Unitive Justice is what it's called. And she defines social justice, and that organization defines it, as a way of seeking resolution of conflicts, whether they be personally, among groups, or legally, in a way that is a growth experience. In a way, through understanding power and recognition of each other, and in a way that that has a holistic solution based on what's really the best of all, and based on love. So she devised 14 arcs, and arcs are like a bridge. They're where we are and where we want to go to. And I'm going to read her arcs this morning. They're just 1 or 2 words each, and they're really worth hearing. And as you listen to them, I want you to imagine with me a world where we bring about these arcs. From rules to values. From compliance to the law, whether we want to or not, to mutually beneficial action and wholeness. We work for what benefits everybody. From punishment to connection. From judgment to insight. From an event to looking at the context, just what we talked about the situation. From hierarchy, top down, to equality and inclusion. From control to self-governance. From self-interest to community. What's good for all of us? From deception to honesty. From distrust to trust. From opposition and aggressive confrontation. Boy, don't we have a lot of that in our world today. To synergy, using our passion to work together for solutions. From fear to love, and from duality, us, them, to unity and oneness. Those are her 14 arcs. And she also has devised this practice. It's called unitive leadership circles, unitive circles. So here's how they would work. We have unitive leaders now placed in school systems and in prisons and in other places. So we know that in our minority school system, in our school systems where there's a lot of minority people, people of color. So say Tommy and Susie get in a fight on the school ground. And they get turned into the principal's office. And the principal says, this is the 3rd time that you guys have been fighting on the school ground. You're expelled. There goes your school to prison pipeline right there. In the school systems where they've placed these unitive leaders, Susie can go to the unitive leader and say, Tommy hit me on the playground and I want to have a circle. So she listens to Susie. Sorry. My sexism. The unitive leader listens to Susie and says, okay, and gets her story, and then asks, who do you want there? Do you want your friends? Do you want somebody to witness? Do you want your parents? Do you want the principal? You have the principal. The principal don't have no more say than anybody else in the circle. And then the leader goes to Tommy and says, Susie wants to have the circle. Would you do that? Tommy says yes. And She does the same process with Tommy. And these circles can take 1 to 3 hours, but what they do is they get down to the core wound and understanding. So at the end, Tommy bursts out crying and said, "My daddy was drunk all night and he hit me this morning when I left for school and I just had to hit something." Okay? And then Susie understands and then they seek some resolution. That's how they work. I think it's either next Sunday or the Sunday after that. I'm leaving for the first annual conference of the Alliance, International Conference of the Alliance for Unitive Justice. Sylvia Clute will be there. She knows what I'm doing my internship in. Valerie Gunch, who was the Unity minister, that after Sylvia talked at Unity Village, they needed a Unity minister to take up the baton and teach this in our seminary, and so Valerie will be there. And also I'm signed up for one of my things in my internship is to learn how to be a unitive leadership leader. And I'm signed up with a woman who works closely with Sylvia, who came back from a year in Africa teaching many school teachers how to do this. And so it's widespread all over Africa. And the statistics are in schools that have these leaders, the school to prison pipeline rate has decreased by about 34%. In one school by 75%. And the recidivism rate in prisons has decreased by about that amount as well. Nice. So it's effective. We know it's effective. And I hope to bring back all kinds of goodies. Oh, yeah, and the woman who's teaching this, who's Sylvia's sidekick, she's not a Unity minister, but she's accepted me into a very small group of cohort companions beginning next January, which I'll be learning this. And I hope to bring back all kinds of juicy goodies here. Yeah. Let's see. And I'm not necessarily pushing the Alliance for Unitive Justice, although there are flyers on the back table. I brought a few. I couldn't help myself. and you can tune in by Zoom to any parts of it that you want. And it's also a good way. You might Google them when you get home. But what I do want to focus on is the example that Sylvia provides for us. She spent 30 years in the criminal justice system, 30 years of her life. Did she spend a lot of time going, mea culpa, oh my God, or wallowing in despair? No. Maybe she went through a grieving process. I don't know. I'm going to ask her if I ever get a chance. But she went out and did something, I think pretty quickly. She went out and started this organization, which is now an international organization. One of my favorite Bible verses is from Micah, and it says, "What does the Lord require of you?" And I'll say, of us, "but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our Lord," with that executive part of us, that executive divine. He doesn't say, love justice. He doesn't say, pray for justice. He says, do justice. Do justice. That's where we get praying with our feet. Now, Micah was a country farmer, a very humble man, and in his time in Israel, there was a lot of bad stuff happening. The northern temple had been destroyed. There were these warlike Assyrians, his neighbors, threatened to invade. But most of all, there was a lot of corruption in the government and in the church. And that's what Micah spoke out against. He spoke out against that and held a vision of hope. Does that remind you of our world today? State of chaos. Democracy's foundations are being challenged. We have poverty and mass shootings and poor health care and poor education and hunger. And we do have some people in governance who are more focused on just staying in power than serving the people, which is their role. So we need to do justice, not just, we need to pray with their feet. So I'm going to invite you very quickly, This is going to be a little mini going inside to take a deep breath and close your eyes and go inside to your heart for just 1 minute. I'm going to give just a minute and see how you might see one thing, large or small, that you might do to do justice as you leave here, beginning now. And slowly opening the eyes and coming back into the room. Who would share with me something they got? Who would share with all of us something they got? Maria.
Should I go to the microphone?
Please, sure. Where people can hear you.
Sorry, Reverend Victoria.
Pat, it's so powerful, serving with our feet. We used to have a really active and beautiful community outreach team here, and it sort of dwindled to nothing around the same time as the world shut down. And you guys, it's time. So my service with my feet is to reignite this team in a meaningful way, and let's do something as a community. Anyone wants to join me? Let's talk after the service. Thank you, Reverend Pat.
Anybody else want to share quickly? Yes.
I can just stand and project from here?
No,
Good.
you can't. It won't be heard on the...
Yes, ma'am.
Mary Wiley has spoken.
You've heard about this before, but my nonprofit is about health reform. But health reform is one of the building blocks of social justice in this country because 60% of bankruptcies in this country happen because of medical debt. And what happens when you lose your house, right? It's just rolling from there. So that's what I'm doing, and anyone who wants to help, please talk to me.
Yay! Anybody else have a burning desire to share? Yes.
I'm not going to stand up there.
Okay.
I'll shout.
Here, I'll bring it to you. No?
It's okay.
Okay. Never
You'll
mind.
hear me.
Just repeat what he said, yeah.
Okay.
There's a group not far from here over on Mount Sinai Road called the Human Kindness Foundation that helps prisoners in jail to help them meditate and do yoga and all that kind of stuff, to turn it kind of into that, and then helps them when they get out of jail to find work.
Beautiful. Is that Bo and
Well,
Bo
he-
is deceased,
he,
and now
used to be
Cetus.
Bo when he was
Can you
alive,
repeat
yeah.
what
Yes, there's an organization near here. It's called the Human Kindness Foundation, and they help prisoners to use jail time, prison time, as kind of a meditative find their spirit, yoga and messages. And I know Sita's personal friend, and write letters. Her son Josh and my daughter Allie went to Carolina Friends School together, and so we can help that foundation too. And yeah. Anything else? Anybody have a burning desire? Yes. Sure. Run.
Run?
Walk fast. Walk fast.
Okay, so I'm Becky, and I'm new. A friend of mine suggested coming here, so I always wanted to go to Union Church. My dad was going to be a pastor at some point, but that's just a little bit about me. But I'm in this little program called AA as well, and I've signed up to do prison ministry and to take meetings to the prison, and it's been on my heart for a really long time. So as I was meditating, a woman said to me yesterday, do you have your application in? And I'm like, I took 5 minutes quick to, I'm like, yes. so yesterday I actually got in, and then so we'll be taking the meetings there, and I'm really happy about that.
Beautiful. Woo! One last one, if anybody else has a burning desire. These are wonderful steps, and those of you who haven't shared, bless you and what you take out of here. And for the ending of this message, I'm joining with Mackay. I'm asking Mackay to join, and I'm going to ask all of you to stand and sing a song that most everybody will surely know. Mackay's making some adjustments in a couple of the lyrics to make it more unity-ish. Yes. And that's going to be the end of the serve of my message. But I invite you to please stand up if you don't know the words, or if you do, clap your hands.
It's If I Had a Hammer. So, of course, I just can't stand to sing lyrics that are not, especially in a church service, but pretty much any time I prefer to change lyrics that don't really match with what I believe and feel. And so instead of ringing out a warning and ringing out danger, we are ringing out vision and unity. And it's the same in all three verses. So the first one is a hammer. I have a hammer. The second one, I have a bell. And the third one is I have a song. So those are the three verses. But in every single verse, we're going to have, it's a bell of vision, it's a bell of unity, it's a hammer of vision, hammer of vision, hammer of unity, song of vision, song of unity. Okay. But hammer comes first, though. Hammer, bell, song. Hammer, bell, song, yeah. And everybody knows this, right? In G, here we go. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out vision, I'd hammer out unity, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out unity, I'd ring out vision, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out unity, I'd sing out vision, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Now I have a hammer, and I have a bell, and I have a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land.
Hi. If this video has inspired you, opened your heart, expanded your consciousness, filled you with hope, empowered you in some way, we encourage you to support what we offer here at Unity Center of Peace by making your donation now. And thank you.